if I told you that two of Canada's most powerful provinces are literally drafting their divorce papers from Ottawa right now as we speak? Gang, this isn't your typical political drama. We're witnessing something absolutely unprecedented. Against the backdrop of Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith promising a separation vote in mere months, now Quebec has just announced they're exploring their own sovereign independence referendum. Canada is literally splitting apart from both the East and the West, with both provinces coordinating their exit strategies while their prime minister, the globalist liberal Mark Carney, scrambles to hold his rapidly fracturing country together. Let's talk numbers. Now, in Quebec, support for sovereignty among young people has skyrocketed to nearly 60% among 18 to 34-year-olds. It's the highest since the 1995 referendum, when the no side barely won by half a percentage point. Meanwhile, 65% of Alberta's governing UCP base now supports separation. And Premier Smith just made it 70% easier to trigger an independence referendum by lowering the signature threshold from 600,000 to just 177,000 signatures. This isn't random provincial grumbling. This is happening among a number of premiers. Quebec Premier François Legault recently didn't mince words about Mark Carney, saying he didn't give a damn about Quebec. And there's a growing alienation among virtually all premiers from Ottawa, but now increasingly Quebec. Quebec nationalism has been surging of late, a surge that inevitably fosters secessionist sentiments, which themselves have historically led to independence referendums. Now, in the West, this is about a lot more than just, say, hurt feelings or political resentment or feeling of being ignored. We talked about this before, but there's some dollar signs behind this. Alberta has contributed hundreds of billions of dollars more to federal coffers than it will ever see back. And this is happening all the while Quebec faces over 400,000 temporary immigrants controlled entirely by Ottawa. So both provinces, in their own unique ways, are watching their resource wealth and their cultural identity get steamrolled by federal policies that benefit Toronto and Montreal elites. Now, the timeline here is terrifying for Mark Carney and the Canadian elite. We've noticed that back on June 18th, just a few weeks back, elected officials from both Alberta and Saskatchewan held their first ever joint caucus meeting in the border city of Lloyd. Now, the key here is that this meeting wasn't just symbolic. It was two Western provinces coming together to formalize their mutual intention in officially declaring independence from Ottawa. And now there's a public timetable coming out in all of this. The plan is to allow for the next 12 to 18 months to sort of let the West decide its own fate. And it's not just Alberta, it's not just Sask. Parts of BC are expressing interest, along with Manitoba. So this is what's known as Wexit, literally a Western exit from the Confederation. The Alberta Prosperity Project, they're the ones who are really leading the effort for Albertan independence. They've officially filed an application with Elections Alberta, which is the first official step in realizing a full-fledged independence referendum on the provincial ballot. And the APP is claiming that they've already gathered over 240,000 pledges supporting an independence referendum. They only need 177,000. So this application they just filed for the referendum with the Elections Board is the first step, and then the gathering of the required signatures is the second step. And they're basically claiming they've already got both wrapped up. Now, while all of that is happening in the West, Quebec's Nationalist Party, the Parti Québécois, who are now leading in the polls, they're promising a referendum, a new independence referendum by 2030. And young Quebecers are mobilizing on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, already pushing for it. So this isn't just like, baby boomer nostalgia here, wanting a replay of 1995. This is digital native activism among some of the youngest voters who weren't even born the last time they had a referendum. But if you're Mark Carney and a member of the Canadian elite, the scariest part in all of this is yet to come. Hey, gang, if you're a homeowner like me, you need to listen to this. When was the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. Well, the problem is in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. They use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small fee with your county and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity, or they even sell your property. And you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection notice or a foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now and find out today if you've already been a victim. Use promo code Turley Talks at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com right now. Use promo code Turley Talks. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Turley Talks. Now, here's the scariest part if you're Mark Carney. The two independence movements, East and West, are now officially working together. So when Alberta's Premier, Danielle Smith, announced her separation plans, Quebec's Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon gave her a literal standing ovation, calling Alberta's plan a blueprint for Quebec. They're not just throwing tantrums. These aren't threats anymore. Gang, they're sharing legal frameworks. They're sharing constitutional strategies, and they're sharing referendum timelines. Here's the bottom line in all of this. While Carney is still riding a little high from his election win a few months back, he's totally radioactive in the provinces that actually generate Canada's wealth. So his popularity in Quebec might look relatively decent on paper, but the sovereignty movement isn't about liking the prime minister. It's about structural frustration with a federal system that many feel serves Bay Street, not Main Street. Now, if you think all of this is a long shot and can't happen, shall we take a little stroll down memory lane? May I remind you that the 1995 Quebec referendum came within 54,000 votes of breaking up Canada. You heard that right. The Confederation held together by less than 1% of the vote. And here's the key to all of this. Today's numbers among Quebec youth are tracking higher than 1995 levels. And Alberta has never been this organizationally prepared for separation. Conservative viewers should understand what's really happening here. This isn't about separatism for separatism's sake. In the West, this is about productive, resource-rich provinces tired of subsidizing a federal bureaucracy that actively works against their own economic interests. Alberta's oil wealth gets blocked while the feds enable polluting dictatorships to eat our lunch, as it were. And in the East, Quebec's distinct culture, they believe, is getting diluted by immigration policies they can't control. The Carney administration is doing everything they can to try to just dismiss this as fringe politics. But when premiers are drafting legislation and setting referendum dates, it's time to pay attention. Now, whether you support these movements or not, they represent the biggest threat to Canadian unity since Confederation. Carney might be enjoying a honeymoon period, but he's inherited a country where the most economically productive provinces are literally planning their exit strategies. The question isn't whether someone leaves, it's who goes first and whether Canada survives the divorce. So what do you guys think? Is this threat of dismemberment real? Will Wexit happen? And if so, will they form their own sovereign nation, or are they going to become the 51st state? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere else. God bless. Have you locked in your seat for my America Awakened Masterclass yet? Because seats are filling up fast. This is your shot to grab our Freedom Week discount before the price goes up. This isn't scripted. It isn't safe. And it sure as heck isn't censored. It's real, it's raw, and it's unapologetically patriotic. Just like the early days of Turley Talks that helped ignite a movement. But listen, this discount won't last. Click the link, claim your spot, and join the rising tide of Americans reclaiming faith, family, and freedom. Let's light the fire of liberty and awaken America together.